At the wedding reception, when everyone was laughing and clinking glasses, when the air smelled like roses and champagne, she leaned close to me, so close her breath touched my ear, and whispered, "He's the man I wanted all along." Imagine that. Imagine the person you just promised forever to, standing beside you in a white dress, the woman you thought was your soulmate, whispering those words, like it was a joke, like she was daring me to react. My face didn't move, not a flinch. To everyone else in that ballroom, we were the perfect couple. But inside I felt something rip. Not just my heart, my reality. The strangest part wasn't the words, it was the calm that followed. You'd think I'd have exploded, shouted, thrown my drink across the room. But betrayal doesn't spark like a firecracker. It sinks, slow and heavy, like a stone dropping into water. My fingers tightened around the glass I was holding. My smile stayed painted on, and I told myself, not here, not now. She smiled for photos, posed with family, leaned against me like we were still the dream everyone thought we were. But her whisper echoed in my head louder than the DJ's music, louder than the clinking of forks against plates. He's the man I wanted all along. Who was? My mind replayed every late-night text she brushed off, every time she rolled over in bed, claiming she was too tired, every story about her friend from work. The pieces started rearranging themselves right there in that ballroom, and suddenly, the picture didn't look like love. It looked like a con. You want to know the hardest part? Looking at my parents, her parents, our friends, all smiling at us like we were some kind of fairy tale. They had no idea they were cheering for a story that had already ended. And I thought, if she can whisper that to me on our wedding night, then how many lies had she whispered before? I didn't grab her arm. I didn't demand answers. I let her twirl on that dance floor, let her laugh with her bridesmaids, let her steal bites of cake like the perfect bride. And all the while, I watched. I watched how her eyes flickered across the room to one table in particular. That's when I noticed him. Michael, the friend from work. Tall, sharp suit, sitting with a smirk he didn't bother hiding. And when her eyes met his, I knew, my gut clenched, my hands went cold. That's him, that's who she meant. I wanted to march over, flip his chair, scream the truth to the ceiling. But anger is a loud weapon, and loud weapons get sloppy. No, I needed something sharper, cleaner, something she wouldn't see coming. When the DJ asked if anyone wanted to give a toast, I stood, my chair scraped the floor, a sound sharp enough to cut through the laughter. She grabbed my hand under the table, nails pressing into my skin, and hissed, "Don't you dare." I kissed her hand gently, smiled and walked to the mic. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said, my voice steady, almost cheerful. "First of all, thank you for being here to celebrate this special day with us. It means everything to have the people we love gathered in one room." Applause rippled, cameras lifted. She sat frozen, a smile plastered on her face, but her eyes were wide, frantic. "Marriage," I continued, "is about love, about honesty, about choosing each other every single day. At least, that's what I thought." Murmurs spread. Guests leaned forward, sensing something shift. She shook her head, a small, desperate movement, silently begging me to stop. I looked straight at her, right into her painted smile. But sometimes honesty comes in whispers, whispers you don't expect. Whispers like, "He's the man I wanted all along." Gasps erupted. Chairs scraped. Someone dropped a glass. Her bridesmaids exchanged frantic looks. Michael shifted in his seat, his smirk vanishing as all eyes darted between him and my bride. She shot up from her chair, her voice sharp. "He's lying. He's drunk. He doesn't know what he's saying." I held up a hand. Calm, controlled. "Am I? Then why have you been staring at him all night? Why did you lean into me and confess it yourself?" The room buzzed like a hive shaken too hard. Her father's face turned red. Her mother covered her mouth. My best man stared at me, torn between pride and horror. And Michael, he looked like he wanted to melt into the floor. I let the silence hang, the weight of her betrayal filling the space where laughter used to be. Then I smiled, set the microphone down gently, and said, "Enjoy the rest of the night, everyone." I walked out, calm, controlled, leaving her standing in her white dress, mascara starting to streak, the fairy tale shattering around her. But that wasn't the end. No. That was just the opening act. Because you don't just walk away from a betrayal like that. You dig. You peel back the layers. You find out how deep the rot goes. And as I left that ballroom, my phone buzzing with messages, my chest tight with adrenaline, I made myself a promise. If she thought she could humiliate me on my wedding day, she was about to learn just how much damage a man with nothing left to lose can do. And that, right there, was only the beginning. Walking out of that wedding hall was the strangest feeling of my life. My chest was heavy, but my legs felt light, almost hollow, like I wasn't walking on the ground at all. The music behind me had stuttered, the laughter cut off into whispers, the kind that ripple through a room when everyone's pretending they don't want to be part of the drama while leaning in to devour every detail. I didn't look back. I could, because if I turned around and saw her standing there in the dress I once dreamed about, mascara streaking, mouth open in shock, I wasn't sure whether I'd collapse or keep going. So I kept going. The cold night air hit me like a slap. I pulled at my tie, loosened it, and sat on the steps outside the venue. My phone buzzed with messages within seconds. My best man, what the hell was that? Are you okay? My mother, please come back inside. Don't do this like this. Her bridesmaid, you misunderstood. She didn't mean it. Michael didn't text, but I didn't need him to. I already saw the guilt etched on his face when I dropped that bomb. For 10 long minutes I sat there staring at the asphalt in front of me, trying to figure out if I'd just detonated my entire life, or if I'd finally saved myself from living a lie. People passed by, whispering, giving me those pitying looks I'd always hated giving others. And then the doors burst open, and she came out. Her heels clicked fast against the concrete, her dress clutched in her hands, so she wouldn't trip. What the hell was that? She spat, her voice somewhere between fury and desperation. I stood slowly, met her eyes. That was you being honest for once. I didn't mean it like that. She snapped. I was drunk. It was a joke. A joke? I cut her off. You whispered to your husband on your wedding night that another man was the one you wanted all along. That's not a joke. That's a confession. Her face twisted, torn between rage and panic. She glanced back at the doors, knowing the whole hall was buzzing, knowing whispers were turning into truths in people's minds. We can talk about this later. Please, don't do this here. But here's the thing. It was already done. I walked past her, down the steps and into the parking lot. She followed, grabbing at my sleeve, crying now, begging me to stop. And for a second I almost did. For a second I remembered the woman I thought I was marrying. The nights we stayed up laughing about stupid movies. The mornings she stole the blankets just to hear me complain. But then her words replayed in my head. He's the man I wanted all along. And the weight of that diamond ring on her finger felt like a shackle instead of a promise. I got in my car, shut the door, and started the engine. She banged on the window, mascara running down her cheeks, her voice muffled through the glass. Don't you dare leave me like this. But I did. I pulled out of the lot, her figure shrinking in the rearview mirror, until it was just another shadow in the night. The days after were chaos. My phone lit up with calls from family, friends, her parents. Half thought I'd overreacted. The other half whispered that they'd always suspected something between her and Michael. The truth was out now, and no one could stuff it back into the box. She tried calling me 100 times. I ignored every one. When the texts came, they ranged from apologies to anger, to outright gaslighting. You're being dramatic. I didn't mean it. You're ruining both our lives over one sentence. But every message only proved what I already knew. She wasn't sorry for what she said. She was sorry she got caught saying it. I moved into my brother's apartment that week, slept on his couch, stared at the ceiling until 3 in the morning, replaying every moment of our relationship. I started digging. I had to know how deep it went, and the deeper I dug, the worse it got. Bank statements, credit card charges at hotels she claimed were girls' trips, late-night emails she forgot to delete, her name copied next to his on conference bookings, and then the final blow. A photo someone sent me from that very reception, a candid shot taken before my toast when everyone was laughing. She wasn't looking at me, she was looking at him, Michael, and the look on her face wasn't the look of a bride glancing at an old friend. It was longing, it was possession, That photo nearly broke me, because in it, I finally saw what she'd been hiding all along, that I was the placeholder, the man she settled for while her heart had already chosen someone else. But here's the thing about betrayal. Once you accept it, it doesn't own you anymore, it fuels you. And I decided, if she thought she could humiliate me, I'd make sure the story ended with her as the author of her own downfall. I called my lawyer, explained everything, showed him the photo, the receipts, the statements. He nodded, told me I had enough for annulment, maybe even damages. And for the first time since that night, I felt steady. This wasn't just about walking away, it was about walking away with my head high. Meanwhile, she spiraled, showed up at my brother's apartment once, pounding on the door, screaming that I was ruining her life. My brother stood between us, arms crossed, and told her to leave. She cried, begged me to listen, but I stayed silent, because silence was louder than any argument. Her parents called, begged me not to go public, begged me to think of her reputation. I laughed, actually laughed, because wasn't that the point? She hadn't thought of mine when she whispered her truth in my ear. She hadn't thought of mine when she stared at him across the room in her wedding dress. The annulment went through faster than anyone expected. The evidence was too heavy, the witnesses too many. People asked me if I felt guilty, if I regretted doing it so publicly. And the answer is no, because sometimes the only way to break free is to let the mask shatter in front of everyone. Months later, I heard they didn't last. Her and Mike, whatever fire they thought they had fizzled once it was exposed to the light. I heard whispers that he left her, that she tried to win him back, that she's still bitter. I didn't forgive. And maybe that should make me feel smug. Maybe it should make me feel like I won. But betrayal doesn't leave you with victories. It leaves you with scars. Even now, sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and hear her voice in my ear. He's the man I wanted all along. And I remember the way the room gasped, the way the air shifted, the way I walked to that microphone and chose myself instead of her lies. That's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't end when you walk away. It lingers, like smoke after a fire. But smoke means you survive. It means the fire didn't kill you. And if you ask me if I'd do it again, if I'd take that mic in front of everyone and drop the truth like a bomb, the answer is yes. Every single time. Because she thought she was writing our story. But in the end, I wrote the final chapter, and it didn't end with her. It ended with me walking away.